Thank you, Annette. Welcome one and all to the Humboldt Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Scarlett Trippsmith, and welcome to our May the Muse Be With You. Today, I will be your technical liaison, so please keep your videos turned on if you feel so comfortable, and also notice that you are muted, but at the end of the service, we will have our virtual coffee hour where you will be able to converse with your fellow congregants. Also notice that when we are in share screen, sorry, there we go. Please notice that when we are in share screen, if you go up to the top of your screen where it says view, you can choose side by side view, and you can make however big or small the speaker that you want. So just know that that option is always available. And as always, in our UU traditions, we take pride in holding you through the joys and the sorrows and the celebrations of your life. So please today, if you feel so called, let us hold you and send your joys and sorrows in the chat to Pat McCutcheon. Thank you so much, Pat, for doing that for us today. Now, on top of that, we want to remind ourselves that we must put our words and our principles into action in everyday engagement. And it is because of collaborative services like this that we can transcend the barriers, be they racial, political, economic, social, or religious. So now in this time and in this place, let us worship together. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Anne Kilby for our chalice lighting and aspiration.
Good morning. I'm Anne Kilby. I'm a worship associate with a little frog in my throat. How wonderful that we could all join this morning. Scarlett and I will open sacred space for us all here in our sanctuary. Scarlett will invite the bell to sing, and while the bell is singing, I will light our chalice. And now I offer this request. Please bless us all to seek and find the good questions and the desire to ask, to seek and find the helpful answers and the clarity to hear, to seek and find the companions to join and the courage to work through our anguish with their help, and to seek and to find the ways for each of us to use our uniqueness and the fervor to do our right work, so to add to the great loving. Now let's renew our aspiration, which will be shown on the screen there. May love be the spirit of this fellowship. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration.
Good morning. I'm here with the Friday Poets to bring you a morning of poetry. You know, poems can interrupt the momentum of story, unwind the narrative thread with which we cocoon our inner worlds. A single image can lift us from the place of our storied world view toward the gasp of a whole new vista, where in the spacious silence of the unimagined, we imagine ourselves afresh. The Fellowship's Friday Poets have been considering such poetic concerns together since April National Poetry Month 2020. There are 12 of us now, and we have grown as poets and as friends, overcome some of the COVID blues, and enjoyed each other's work. To quote Amanda Gorman, even as we grieved, we grew. Today we offer you our poems as PPE for the soul. And now we'll hear a story for all ages.
Good morning. The selection for the story for all ages comes from the book Being Words, William Carlos Williams and the Red Wheelbarrow by Lisa Rogers and Chuck Broderick. It's published by Shorts and Wade's Book. Williams was a practicing family physician in Rutherford, New Jersey. Day after day, Dr. Williams picks up his tools, a stethoscope, syringes, a blood pressure cuff, a thermometer, and more. He packs his black doctor's bag and lifts it by its two handles. He cares for patients in his office at 9 Ridge Road. He cares for patients in their home. He bandages wounds. He checks temperatures and listens to heartbeats. He treats children with measles and chickenpox. He brings many babies, at least 3,000, into this world. Dr. Williams depends on his doctor's bag to carry the tools he needs. Along with the stethoscope and syringes, he carries a pen for writing prescriptions, and a pen for crafting poems. Writing poems brings Dr. Williams joy, and he fits in his writing around his doctorate. If he's in his office, he uses the time between appointments to tap on his typewriter. He writes about trees, a fire engine, cats, and plums. He chooses the words for his poetry as carefully as he examines his patients. If he's making a house call, he scribbles poems on his prescription pad. He writes about his town and the people who live there. Dr. Williams visits 11 Elm, where Mr. Marshall and his wife Alice raised their sons, Milton, Hiram, Victor, Leon, and Thaddeus Jr. Perhaps he's there to set a broken arm or to soothe a high fever. Perhaps he's caring for Mr. Marshall, who has been ill. Dr. Williams pauses. He looks out the bedroom window toward the garden. He sees rain falling. It falls on the chickens, scrabbling in the dirt, their feathers dingy white. It falls on Mr. Marshall's wheelbarrow, red and weathered, sturdy and strong. The rain streaks the window, soaks the garden, drips into the roots of Mr. Marshall's vegetable plants, helping them grow. Dr. Williams grasps his pen. He begins to write. He writes of what he notices: the wheelbarrow, the chickens, the rain, the yard. He writes a poem using only 16 words. Those 16 words do not describe Mr. Marshall's chicken coop or the train rattling nearby. They do not describe Mr. Marshall hefting that wheelbarrow or the aches and pains he suffers from stooping to care for his plants. They do not describe Mr. Marshall's life of work or caring or love, but somehow they say just that. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. The end. Thank you.
Good morning. When I was 9, Mama worked at the Jim Dandy Market. I was supposed to do the dishes before she came home at 4:30. I usually started them about 4:10. Early one afternoon, I looked down the street and there was Mama with a bunch of other grown-ups. They were happy, laughing, even dancing a little. I was terrified. I started to run into the house. I couldn't get the dishes done, but she would find me at the sink. She saw me and waved. I was trapped. I ran and threw myself at her and sobbed, "I didn't do the dishes." Mama hugged me and said, "Don't worry about it, baby. The war is over." Thank you.
Good morning. I grew up on a small farm in Oregon in the Depression era. People struggled to make ends meet, and we're grateful. Similar to the pandemic times, actually, people make do with what we have and look forward to better times. The skills I learned on the farm have really come in handy. Memories of home. The old farmhouse still stands, fragrant with honeysuckle and thyme. Fences once held cattle in green pastures, now replaced with militant housing developments. My mother's abundant gardens, now a spindly lawn of weeds and rocks. Dirt road we rode bikes on and caught the school bus. Now a busy traffic corridor, speed limit 35 miles per hour. The old house still stands. Bedroom shared with blind old Russian grandfather, his folk tales weaving me into sleep. Now an office with impressive technology. Her kitchen, once giving off delicious smells, wholesome meals cooked on a wood stove, in a cast iron skillet still used today. Cozy wood heat replaced with electricity. The weather old barn, a monument between towering oaks. I can still see her walking out to milk the cows, pail in each hand, a row of scrawny barn cats waiting for their squeeze. I remember the sturdy team of horses, one black and one white, tossing their heads, flicking their tails, come to make hay for winter animals. Home is a place of belonging, of safety and delight. Lazy summer days and long winter nights, where well-lived lives were honored. Memories of time passing, making me into who I would become. New ways replacing the old, no turning back. Home is a place of belonging that never leaves the heart.
This poem is recent, but the setting is New Jersey, my home for many years and a long time ago. No hurry. The snow, sleet, and rain, then the sun and the freeze. It was a bad time to drive in midwinter. At the tail of the day, the plows had been out and the main roads were slush mush. But I'd turned onto a side road, an ice rink with ruts. I shouldn't have done it. I should have gone home. But I pushed on regardless, with no time to spare. I must get to the potluck, my innocent excuse to see him and be with him, our secret intact. Our new love was illicit, forbidden, and hidden, and worth every risk I was heedlessly taking. And then I was skidding and lurching and skidding till deep in a snowbank, the car stalled and stopped. My heart kept on pounding so hard that it hurt, but all I could think of was now that I'd be late. I restarted the car, but then I looked out to an overgrown winter field frozen in place, huge ball of red sun barely hanging above, ice sculpture of tall grasses, dead flowers, and twigs. The scene shining like crystal, silent and still. I sat there, transfixed by the fairy tale garden. A kaleidoscopic shift in my vision occurred. What hurry? Why hurry? No hurry. In the presence of beauty, there is no more time.
In 1974, Jack and I and our 4 children, who were between the ages of 7 and 10, had our first family backpacking adventure. We hiked the Chilkoot Trail. This poem is about the day on that trail when we climbed over the mountain pass. After the climb, one heavy foot in front of the other, and others' footholds kicked in the hard-packed snow. After the pull of the stuffed and heavy backpacks toward the abyss and the jagged scree below, after the nearly overwhelming fear and intense physical demand, finally the summit. And a miracle, in a sea of deep snow as far as the eye could see, 6 small, bare, rocky outcroppings, just right for 6 sleeping bags, and 6 strained bodies, too exhausted to feel the hard, rough bedrock, grateful for a chance to rest at last. Motionless, soundless, not a sound within many miles in this land of the midnight sun. The whole world in a golden haze as the sun dipped to the horizon, but not below, and illuminated the distant mountains before fading to a soft pink. We 6 were one with the reflecting crystals, the vast nothingness, the profound silence evoking an overwhelming sense of awe, an indescribable serenity, and an acute awareness of the wonder of the world and the insignificance of its inhabitants.
This is the time when we open to one another to share our happiness and our grief. I'll be looking in the chat box for your joy or sorrow. We'll read it and place a stone in this bowl of water where the ripples can reach us all. The first comes from Anne Kilby, who has brought flowers for her late mom, Ruth Farwell. Tomorrow would have been her 100th birthday. Love to you both, Anne. From Allison Broncal, our family's joy is that our 17-year-old daughter, Sydney, is graduating from North Coast Preparatory Academy on Saturday and will be morphing into a banana slug in the fall at UC Santa Cruz. From Debby and Greg, Debby has now made it halfway through chemotherapy. We're so glad for you, Debby. Blessings to you both. No more messages in the chat right now, but one more stone for the messages. I see some more from Debby. She has several stones. To my nephew, William, graduating college and finishing off his baseball career with a championship. 2, to Sylvia Shaw for watching my fur babies again and again. And to anyone who wants to help out with the Father's Day service, Debbie Cooper is looking. And one more from Cindy and Bonnie. Thanks to John Schaefer for his brilliant My Word. Glad to see you in there, John. Thank you. And from Scarlett, celebrations to see my family this week. Glad they came for the show. And one more stone for those blessings and sorrows that remain in our hearts unspoken. And now a moment of silence. Debbie Harrison.
I have worked in primary care medicine for over 30 years. This poem is about some of the interactions I had with my patients. To bear witness. Walk in prepared. You will be the anchor in the coming storm. Take a deep breath and then say it. There is bad news. Then be fully present. Hold them with your eyes, with your heart, with your arms, if they'll let you. Watch for the signs, the shock, the denial, the tears. Be sure they really heard. Details and any offering of hope comes later. Be ready to clarify and repeat. Just sit and be with them. Nod and cry if they'll let you.
My poem is called Ode to the Season. From winter's chrysalis, spring we see emerge. The cold ground crumbles before the breaking surge. Something new appears in the blink of an eye, lifts its head from potential to face the sky. And to whatever degree we question and reason, it is eagerness takes wing into this new season. Out of nowhere, a spectrum of blossoms appear, shedding previous fears from an uncertain year. Daffodils crystallize as from golden rays of sun. Calla lilies arise where fresh waters run, white as snow above green billowing leaves from dark fertile earth, or so one perceives. Before every plant is some form of seed. Before every step forward, some urging of need. Before DNA's blueprint defined chemically and in math, something resonant to follow a probable path, coalescing from wave, as though from a thought, designated by spark of purpose or chance, maybe or not. But enough exploration into matters arcane. The answers fit not well in our still developing brain. Possibility waits patiently around the next bend for understanding and evolution to transcend. Today it is enough to enjoy warmth on the skin, to savor nature's sustenance ere tomorrow begin.
My poem is entitled With Apologies to Lawrence Ferlinghetti and Leonard Cohen. And I have to confess that my apologies are pretty much insincere. Please remind me, what do we do first? First, you have to call your family. You have to clean your house. You have to walk the dog. You have to water the garden. You have to wash the windows. You have to mop the floors. You have to, but first we take Manhattan. No, no, no. That's just an old Leonard Cohen song, you know. The Sisters of Mercy and Suzanne takes you down to her place by the river. So long, Marianne. That's no way to say goodbye. One of us cannot be wrong. Really? Hallelujah. First, we call upon the spirits of the water, the earth, the sky. We lament our failures and praise our virtues. We close our eyes and look within. We acknowledge and own our sad history and remember the days and nights when we walked in harmony. We abandon the excuses, the rationalizations, the lies, bury them deep, bid them an unfond farewell. Please remind me, what are we talking about? Like the bird on a wire, we balance between the dawn and the sunset, the trivial and the universal, hunger and satiation. Find the crack where the light gets in and follow. Follow. There is no path. The more we are awake, the more we see there is no path. What are we talking about? Are we talking? Talking? Is anybody listening? And now the choir will sing Una Familia. That's not part of the poem.
We are one great family, one people, una familia. We are one great family, one people, una familia. We are one and the same, though we have different names. Una familia. We may live far apart, but we are one in the heart. Una familia. We are one great family, one people, una familia. We are one great family, one people, una familia. We can tear down a wall and we are standing tall, una familia. We're united as tall, una familia. We're united as one and we have only begun, una familia. One voice we sing with one voice in harmony. One voice we sing with one voice in harmony. One family we are, one family, sing una familia. One family we are, one family, sing una familia. We are one and the same, though we have different names. Una familia. We may live far apart, but we are one in the heart. Una familia. We are one great family, one people, are one great family, una familia, una familia, una familia, familia, familia.
Thank you so much, choir. Thank you for that great reminder. We are one family. How great to hear you again. We have been warmed by fires we did not build. We have drunk at wells we did not dig. In acknowledgement now of our many blessings and many needs, as Annette plays, please make your offering in one of the ways Scarlett will display.
This is a poem about grief and the loss of sacred spirit. 50 minutes down the road, I turn onto the Avenue of Giants. Calm descends over my body, generating a deep sigh. I'm drawn into the stillness, cradled in the soft, feathery way a baby chick chirps when engulfed by her mother's wings. Warm, loved, satiated. The redwoods whisper to me like muses. The language is not phonetic, not like harps or cellos, but effervescent and pregnant like rapture. The great mystery, sacredness itself. The ancestral wisdom stirs deep remembering and flushes over me in ethereal waves. The redwood is a temple, is the gatekeeper of centuries of creation, vigorous, hardy, alive. The sun is bright and plump in its fullness as I drive north on 101. In front of me, a 16-wheel logging truck pulls off the side road into traffic. A stark, involuntary jolt bursts the magic. Sudden rush of fatigue swallows me. Two malevolent hands clutch my throat in a chokehold. The bile boils up my esophagus. There it is. That mortuary limousine spiriting 5 old-growth monoliths. Horizontal in their death throes, clocking hundreds of years of life a few short hours ago. Tidy, stacked and rolled on the truck like a pack of cigarettes, symmetrical like clones on a store shelf. I creep close to the back of the rig. I want to snatch them off the bed of the truck and thrust them back into the ground. Raging against the violence, limbs torn off, uprooted. I want to stroke them and count their rings. They should not die this ignoble death, reincarnated as beams and doors, shingles and porch planks. Their wasted carcasses cast off to rot in the landfills of our consumption.
I wrote my poem in honor of Black History Month. It was written from the perspective of Ruby Bridges, the first African-American child to integrate into an all-white elementary school in New Orleans, 6 years after the Supreme Court ordered all schools to desegregate. The date was November 14, 1960. Norman Rockwell depicted this event in an illustration for the Saturday Evening Post. Ruby. My daddy said I was the prettiest girl on the block. I am wearing my Sunday best dress. It's all white as new fallen snow. And I have new socks too. Mom made me special white bows for my hair and fixed me special braids too. She even washed my sneakers so they'd be spanking clean for my first day of school. I'm so proud, and I even have a special detail, they call it. I get to go to a new school too, and my detail gets to walk me to and from my classroom every day. I'll be making new friends. I'm so excited. Daddy said I was brave. People have gathered outside to welcome me. I can't tell what they're shouting. I wonder why that boy threw me a tomato. He must not know I'm going home for lunch.
A while back, I read an article saying that in his second term, Obama invited Ruth Bader Ginsburg to lunch. And his intention was to gently encourage her to retire from the court during his presidency. At that point, she had survived 2 episodes of cancer. Reading this article and the timing of her death after that luncheon led me to this poem. The notorious RBG deserves a brilliant playwright. In the footsteps of Lear, she made a flawed decision which put at risk the kingdom of her accomplishments. The notorious RBG deserves a brilliant playwright who will enlarge our imagination to contain the contradiction of a tragic RBG.
The outstanding poet Adrienne Rich teaches us that poetry is a tool to break open locked chambers of possibility, restore numbed zones to feeling. For some, this last poem of the service may disturb that cocoon with which we sometimes soften the news, and may indeed restore numbed zones to feeling. Darnella, only 17, she changed the world when she heard a man begging for his life and hit record. In him, she saw her dad, her brothers, friends, saw it wasn't right. He was struggling to breathe. Dauntless as a black Athena, her weapon not a spear, but a cell phone. She stood her ground when the cops threatened to mace her. She filmed 10 minutes that shook this country and beyond. Enraged by a bogus press release claiming the man died after a medical incident during police involvement, Darnella posted her video, made the whole world see the truth of murder. Chauvin grinding his knee into George Floyd's neck. A steely-eyed witness, she exposed a cop snuffing out his life, a helpless, handcuffed, dying man, at the end calling out for his mother, went viral to millions, including me, including those 12 jurors in Hennepin County Courthouse. And now Darnella tries to sleep at night, tries to put aside her feelings, sad, mad, powerless. Instead, she cries, apologizing over and over to George for not doing more, for not intervening, for not saving his life. I too try to sleep at night, having seen the gruesome video, listened to the trial for weeks, heard the verdict. I too try to put aside my feelings, mad, sad, relieved, struggle with my white entitlement. No, I'd have never had her Athena courage. Search for more what I can do than apologize.
To complete our service, I offer these thoughts by Jack Weatherford. We need to find a way for all of us to walk in two worlds at once, to be a part of world culture without sacrificing the cultural heritage of our families and traditions. At the same time, we need to find ways to allow other people to walk in two worlds, or perhaps even to walk in 4 or 5 worlds at once. Now I extinguish our chalice, though in spirit, let's keep it always alight. And let's join hands etherically, so to speak, to keep our traditional spirit of being together. And let's sing our closing song. Go from here in peace, go in love. Go from here in peace, go in love. Go from here in peace, go in love. In love, go in peace. Shalom, assalamu alaikum, blessed be, ase, aho, namaste.
Around for our virtual coffee hour and our, as always, our virtual dance party. Thank you all for your amazing poems. That was exactly what I needed on my Sunday morning. The muse is with me, as they say.
Thank you, Scarlett. Thank you.
And you now have the power to unmute yourselves if you'd like.
Love you, Brooke. Paige was on before, but I don't see her now.
Got to
Enjoyed that
unmute just to say great gratitude. This was fabulous and a wonderful variety of well-chosen words, and more and still more, please. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I laughed. I felt sad at times. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of going through the process emotions right now after that.
Subjects.
I feel totally blessed when it comes to poetry because I write poetry and I write lyrics all the time. And my son came back from college because of COVID. He's a hip hop artist. So we share poetry and write poetry all the time. We're always like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I feel so blessed. I know a lot of moms that, they don't know how to relate to their kids. And when you're sharing poetry, you're sharing the deepest part of yourself and you're sharing incredible intelligence. And so I feel really blessed to be able to share that with my son and hear him, plagiarize some of my words here and there and stick them into his, what I call hippie hop songs. And it's fabulous. It's fabulous. And I'm very excited to see my daughter today coming home. Yay! So great show.
I'd just like to say thank you to all the poets. You're so brave to put it out there to us. And we love you and welcome anytime. And thank you, Pat, for organizing this group, and cheers to you and to all your students.
We want more. I want more from each of you. Each of you are wonderful in your wonderful ways that you are, but thank you. Thank you so much.
I agree. That gives me a new appreciation for poetry that I hadn't thought about for a long time.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's so special to be in the group. We've had such a lot of fun. It's really made the pandemic bearable.
Yeah, there was a comment made about we're more than a poetry group. We're also a support group and a counseling group.
What's really interesting about this was wonderful poetry today. And what's really interesting to me is that this didn't start except for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so the gift of this weird time, this is one of the gifts of this strange time. It's maybe given some of you a voice who hadn't explored your voice yet. And today was just such a testament to the power of doing that. Yes, I say yes. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I'm part of that group that would not have come to poetry really at all had it not been for the fact that it was there. And actually, it's all Cena's fault. She sort of encouraged me and nudged me, and I thought, well, I'll go and just see what's happening. I'll go listening. I don't, why not listen in? And somehow you get something happens. So I'm incredibly grateful. I'm particularly grateful to Pat, as I think all of the poets are, for just simply being there week after week after week after week. It's been wonderful.
He has punched holes in our memories, and we've gotten back to some things that we haven't thought about in a long time.
Oh, neat.
This is Diane. One thing that has been